The LSU Tigers travel to face the Ole Miss Rebels in the annual Magnolia Bowl. Kickoff is going to be at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 82 degrees Fahrenheit, 6-mile-per-hour winds at kickoff. Ole Miss opened up as a 1.5-point underdog, but since then the line has traveled in favor of Ole Miss, with the Rebels being favored by 2.5 points. Very excited to see this game. It was either this game or the Alabama-Georgia game in my mind that was going to be the most evenly matched, tight game of the week. Before we resume this segment, some great and free ways to support this channel are liking the video, watching it all the way through, commenting your thoughts down below. I'd love to hear your analysis, sharing the video, subscribing to the channel, and also hitting the notification bell. That way you can get notified when we go live or release new content. And don't just hit the notification bell for the channel. That's very helpful. But what's also helpful and free and useful to you, if you are a diehard fan of a specific team and want to get notifications whenever I make content about a specific team, not just my content in general, well, we have playlists for every Power 4 college football team, so the notification bell on any of those playlists you are interested in. If you want to support the channel financially, there are ways to do so in the description, and you can sign up as a paid member. I went with Alabama, Georgia, and I will explain why here, but this is a close runner-up. Both of these teams have their fair share of issues. Both have their exciting players. Both have quarterbacks who I have questions about, but have really made me excited when watching them at different points. Garrett Nussmeier and Trinidad Chambliss, of course, are the quarterbacks that I'm talking about. Nussmeier, I didn't list as an X factor for LSU only because I think their defense is that good. All of their defense. I've been really impressed by Blake Baker this year. Chambliss I listed as an X factor because he's played well thus far. Quarterback is very important in a Lane Kiffin system. He doesn't turn it over. I think he's a good distributor. I think he has enough arm talent to make some big-time throws here and there. And then on top of that, their wide receivers and their tight ends have impressed me too. For LSU and Ole Miss, it's really going to come down to, I think, does the LSU defense or the Ole Miss offense put more on the table? Do they score more points or give their team more opportunities to score points? Because obviously you're not going to be getting many defensive touchdowns or scores at all, if you get what I'm saying. For LSU, Jack Pyburn, Dominic McKinley, Bernard Gooden, Patrick Payton, Whit Weeks, West Weeks, Harold Perkins Jr., Mansour Delane, AJ Halsey, Tamarcus Cooley, PJ Woodland, and some others in the depth chart. It's been a very impressive defense. Has the argument to maybe be the best defense in American argument. For Ole Miss, Harrison Wallace III, Deshaun Stribling, Caden Lee, Deuce Alexander, and then Daquan Wright, Austin Simmons, and K'Wan Lacey. I've been impressed with their skill position play. And their offensive line lost a lot. I don't think it's dropped off a ton from last year. Now, last year's unit, I think, was underwhelming to begin with for Ole Miss, but it's encouraging to know that I think not Austin Simmons, I thought he would start at the beginning of the year, so that's why he's still in my mind, but that Trinidad Chambliss is protected. I thought that their win over Tulane, and I know it's Tulane, but Tulane destroyed Northwestern. Tulane was power rated high for a G5 school. I did not see that blowout coming. That was an impressive win. The way they were able to hang on against Kentucky, where Kentucky started out hot and they turned it over a bunch, and that wasn't when they were playing Chambliss. That was Simmons himself. Thought that was impressive, honestly. You know, you're losing the first quarter 10-0, and then you win 30-23, outscore Kentucky 30-13 remainder of the game, and at one point it was 30-10 remainder of the game. So Ole Miss is undefeated, LSU undefeated. LSU is ranked 4th, and Ole Miss is ranked 13th. Why is Ole Miss favored, by the way? They're ranked lower and yet are favored. Well, that's because rankings are rankings. And the AP poll and rankings are broken. Ole Miss is favored. They have a 20.7 FPI rating, which was 17th. to LSU's 14.6 because their margin of victory against what looked at first like a much harder schedule for LSU, but Clemson's 1-3 now. Florida is also 1-3, and DJ Lagway's in a boot again, so he'll probably redshirt, and Napier's done. It's just a matter of if. It's a matter of when, not if. Ole Miss with a similar schedule now, which is insane. I never thought Clemson would be that bad. They have a 0.337 points per play margin, scoring 0.611 points per play on offense. LSU is 0.146 points per play margin compared to Ole Miss, and they only score 0.303 points per play offensively, which is that's pretty bad, especially factoring in the opponents they've played. That is why Ole Miss is a favorite here, along with, I think, a little bit of the history of the Magnolia Bowl, where usually, not always, but always since 2020, though that could change, and usually the home team wins here. And that's been a theme of this rivalry game. Whether or not LSU can support Garrett Nussmeier, what I mean by that is not just running the ball, but protecting him. That's a key story for LSU. And for Ole Miss, I think whether or not Chambliss can handle Blake Baker, and not by himself, with the help of Kiffin, with the help of the offense, whether him and the offense collectively can handle Blake Baker, not dominate, not necessarily even beat him, just handle him and not fall apart, is another key storyline here for the Rebels. I think that there are a lot of them here. When looking at the rivalry aspect here, the home team's won since 2020, that goes in the direction of Ole Miss. But I think that defense is a huge theme in this game. LSU's defense is 8th in adjusted EPA allowed per play, per game on paper. They allow a 36.4% success rate. Their success rate allowed is actually pretty high for the other top defenses, but they do a really good job of being fundamentally sound, getting pressure when they have to. Teams only running them for 3.6 yards per carry, only passing them for about 5.3 yards per dropback. They're an excellent defense. Blake Baker's been in his bag since day one. For Ole Miss here, Ole Miss's strength is offense. Ole Miss offensively so far this season has had, top 25, top 20, top 15 offense, I would say. They have a lot of success through the air, averaging nearly a 50% overall success rate and a 52.1% passing success rate, but they only average about 5.1 yards per carry on the ground. That's against a pretty easy schedule. Offensively, we know LSU is a mess. I don't think we need to even bring up data for that. The way they've scored, or the lack thereof of scoring, has been pretty damning. But Ole Miss's defense has issues of their own. Defensively, they're 37th in adjusted EPA allowed per play. They're allowing teams to average 5.7 yards per carry and only generate a 7% havoc rate. That means only 7% of the offensive plays that their defense allows are sacks, interceptions, passes defended, forced fumbles, TFLs. That is pretty low. It's in fact pretty bad for a defense to have that low of a havoc rate with this schedule. The problem is LSU, they can stop the run, so they'll probably stop Ole Miss's rushing attack to a certain degree. But at least Ole Miss's mobile QBs that can help. With LSU, they can't run the ball, and Nussmeier's a statue. So even though Ole Miss's rushing defense is pathetic analytically, will they really be able to take advantage of that, especially on the road in a rivalry game where Ole Miss's crowd is going to be hostile, and Kiffin's going to want this win, because last year's loss in overtime, which Ole Miss dominated the whole game, led the whole game, and then they lose in overtime. If they win that game, they go to the playoffs, and Kiffin would be remembered differently, and Ole Miss would have made history last year. They even could have won the Natty. They weren't the best team in America. They weren't even the second or third, but they were up there. They're like the 6th, 5th, 4th best team in the country. They were really, really good. and I have been impressed with what I have seen out of LSU's defense. I have. There is a but, though. The defense is very important. I trust Kiffin enough offensively in a game like this at home with how this rivalry is gone to score some points, and Ole Miss, no doubt, is going to have the best offense LSU has played so far. They're also going to have the best quarterback. Chambliss has looked better than Lagway, certainly better than Klubnik, and any of the G5 FCS opponents like Southeast Louisiana. We're not counting that here on College Football with Sam. Come on, guys. I think that Ole Miss's offense is going to test this LSU defense, especially with it being at home and Kiffin giving special attention to this game. And the way the Tulane game went, too, it wasn't competitive. Like, it really was not. And when that happens, you start looking ahead. And it's the same with LSU versus Southeastern Louisiana. But there's just something about this game that I like for Ole Miss and I don't like for LSU. And the thing that is, really, is that LSU can't run the ball. And they are so bad at running the football. I mean, Clemson's defense isn't even that good, guys. They couldn't run the ball on Clemson. They could at times, but Clemson got a ton of TFLs on them. They struggled against Louisiana Tech running the ball. Florida put their run game in a box until they were on the field, and they gave up that one flukishly long run to close out the game. LSU can't run to save their life. So in that regard, I don't think that they're going to run an Ole Miss, even though Ole Miss's rushing defense is quite bad. I think that these offenses and defenses are going to be very evenly matched. I think this is going to be a one-score win for Ole Miss, like it was in 2023 at home, when both offenses are probably better than they were now. LSU's defense was far worse, opposite end of the spectrum. They were all offense, no defense that year. This year, I think LSU, honestly, is no offense, all defense. And Ole Miss is a tuned-down version, certainly, of who they were last year. And I also think this team is worse than they were in 2023. Probably more of a 2022 Ole Miss caliber team in terms of just a power rating. I think Ole Miss will run the ball better than LSU. I think that both passing offenses will be pretty equal. Ole Miss's special teams unit is better. They have a kicker who can make a very long kick, over 50 yards. LSU's Damian Ramos can as well, but he is not as reliable, in my opinion, as the Ole Miss kicker, that being Lucas Carneiro. Yeah, he's 10 of 11 for field goals right now. 10 of 11 with a long of over 50. Damian Ramos right now is 6 of 8 on the year, and he's a career 70, 80% kicker. Doesn't always make the long ones. Carneiro was a 94.7% kicker last year, and the special teams efficiency also leans towards Ole Miss. So little things, like I think Ole Miss being a little bit better at running and LSU not being able to run because they're so bad there on Ole Miss. And I also think Kiffin is the better schemer than Brian Kelly. I believe that. So in this individual basis, I am going with Ole Miss to win, and I'm going to go with them to cover 2 because it's a 2.5 point spread. So I'm not going to pick a team to win by less than a field goal. That would be oddly specific. So I think that Ole Miss will win here. They'll cover. They'll win by anywhere from probably 3 to 8 points. Thank you so much for watching this segment on College Football with Sam. Before we close out here, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, share this video around, comment your thoughts and analysis down below so I can read them and reply to them if I have the time. Members get priority replies, but I try to reply to everyone. And also hit the notification bell for the channel and also for any team playlists you are interested in. If you want to support the channel financially, you can always super chat me in the comments section, but I prefer that you sign up as a paid member of the Patreon page or as a YouTube member, or that you can purchase some wonderful merchandise to represent us. I'll see you all soon and have a fantastic day.